Hey everyone, welcome to the Audacious Black Girl podcast. I'm your host, Amanda. So, this episode is all about motherhood. So, whether you're a mom now or you're thinking about becoming a mom, this episode is for you. It's called I Got 99 Problems, and being a mom is kind of one. We'll get into that. But I wanted to record this episode because I was hearing from a lot of moms just about the challenges that they've experienced or are currently experiencing when it comes to motherhood and their journey of becoming, and the things that hold them back from really taking those steps. And that's what I mean by being a mom is kind of one, right? Being a mom is kind of a part of the problem, right? It's not really a problem, but it's something that affects our experience on our journey of becoming. It can change your trajectory, it can change just your outlook, and not necessarily for the worse either. Like, that's not even what I'm saying. It really is about how motherhood impacts us, and how sometimes it is challenging being a mom. It's not easy. It is not easy. So, looking forward to chatting with you all about that today. But in the meantime, make sure you subscribe to the podcast so that you can get all those updates, whether you're watching this on YouTube or on Apple Podcasts. Leave me a comment, leave me a review. You can rate the podcast as well. Let me know how I'm doing. I would love to hear from you. But let's get into this episode. So, I'll give a little bit of my own story. And I always like to have my own story and experiences when I'm explaining things because it just gives some perspective. And it's always nice to kind of have that picture in your head, right? So, many of you know I am married, I have three children. Absolutely love my children. However, when I became a mom, it was such a difficult life transition. I'm not even going to lie. It kind of just, you're pregnant, I was happy, naturally nervous, have some anxiety. But then once you become a mom, oh my goodness, things change, right? Things change. And for me, it was very difficult for maybe the first like 2 years or so of motherhood, 2 to 3 years. It was really challenging because I really went into the role of motherhood thinking that I was supposed to sacrifice like just everything, myself, my goals, all that. And like I did have, of course, my goals and dreams in my mind, and I was putting things off because I just figured I'll wait. But that waiting became a problem. And in that waiting, there was a realization I had about my own somewhat tethering to motherhood, my own experiences to motherhood that made me not want to, or made me unable to really reach for doors that I wanted to open, opportunities, whether it was career wise, whatever it might be. So that's when I say being a mom is kind of a problem at times. It's because it can put you in this state of hold, put you in this state of pause that can really affect you mentally, emotionally. And Lord knows, I definitely went through a lot of emotional and mental stress and just so much. It was really difficult. Even as I reflect now, it was challenging. I definitely was like undiagnosed borderline depression. I will just never forget, being a new mom and being a new wife and having my first child. And she's probably about 6 months, maybe 9 months. I just moved to another state with my husband, and it was challenging. I remember sitting on the steps, bawling my eyes out. Bawling my eyes out because I didn't know what was going on with me emotionally. I felt stuck. I didn't feel like Amanda. I didn't even know who Amanda was, to be honest with you. So it was a difficult situation. And I'll give some tips later on about what got me out of that. But I think that's an experience that a lot of moms might have. And this is why, even if you're thinking about becoming a mom at some point in the future, being mindful and aware of what could potentially, be in your space or your mental or emotional can help hopefully safeguard you and make you aware of things to look out for as you enter motherhood. It's not easy. It's beautiful. It is absolutely beautiful, and it can be. But what I want you to know is that there is space for that full spectrum of emotions and feelings and thoughts and experiences that you have as a mom. your feelings are absolutely valid. Your feelings are valid. Okay. Like something, when I think about that time, something I think about is the lack of support that I had, right? And feeling alone, feeling absolutely alone with my feelings, with my emotions. And that is what affected my journey of becoming. It can affect your journey of becoming. Maybe you're on your path or whatever that might be. And I'm not talking about career wise. I'm just talking about in general, right? Maybe you're on a path, but you become a mom on that journey and you're happy and things are going well, and maybe things aren't going the greatest. But whatever your tether is to motherhood can affect how you move forward, right? It can affect how you see yourself as a mother. It can affect just how you move forward in life. So it's something that I really wanted to talk about because a lot of moms experience this, but it's such a silent thing. I think as moms, it's a feeling of having to suffer in silence. And that doesn't have to be the case at all. I think it shouldn't be the case. Not at all. Like we can definitely express how we're feeling and get support and help and guidance as we move forward. And I want to also just be mindful of postpartum depression. Now, I don't think that's something that I went through, but I do have friends and people that I know who've been through that or experienced some symptoms of that. So please, if you're having some really difficult emotions, thoughts, feelings, things that just don't feel right or feel appropriate, definitely get some help, get some support in that because postpartum depression is quite common. And it's something that can happen and that we can go through. So I just want you to be mindful of that and get help whenever you feel like you need it. Even if you don't think it is, just get some help and get that looked into so that you can be your absolute best and healthy self. So, what motherhood also did to me was affect, like I said, my mental, emotional, but my body image, my feelings of self worth. It was quite challenging, to be honest. And it was really a transformational time. Right. Even as I look back on it now, I can look at it from a perspective of it being a state of transformation that I was in. And whenever you're transforming, it's not comfortable, right? You're entering a new role, you're having new thoughts, feelings, responsibilities, but it is a period of transformation. And being able to even use that word now comes from the work I've put in to be able to be on my journey of becoming, right? Seeing that time as a time of transformation and not a time of just confusion or frustration or whatever emotions I was having at that time. So, it really is a time I think we can look at as a transformative period in our life. Another big part of my motherhood experience was the fact that I was a stay at home mom for several years, which was a blessing to be able to do. But I did start feeling those four walls start closing in. I felt like I was suffocating. Just, being at home and going through the routine and daily activities and same thing every day, every day, every day. And it was quite challenging. But I felt those four walls closing in. But the other part of that was the fact that I felt so disconnected from self, so disconnected from who Amanda was. So when I got pregnant, I was in undergrad in my second or third year. And I stopped school so I can, get married and move with my husband, who is active duty military, right? So in that becoming a motherhood, there was definitely many gains, but also losses, so to speak, right? I stopped going to school. I engulfed myself into my role as mom, as wife. Friendships, relationships changed. There was a lot of change that happened at that time. So my experience as motherhood was one where, like I said, it was transformational. I can say that now, but it really felt like a time of just loss and so much huge change that was quite difficult to deal with. But when I think about the emotions that I had back then, or my tethers to motherhood, there were some pretty common experiences. And these are experiences that when I talk to my clients, that they expressed, my mom clients. And you can probably relate to if you're currently a mother. So feelings of guilt, right? Feelings of shame, anxiety, lack of self worth, right? And there's a whole range of different emotions and feelings and thoughts that we will have to our experience of motherhood. But I call that our tether. I call those emotions our tether. And they can prevent us from being able to move forward onto opportunities and really trust in ourselves to take on new opportunities and be on that journey of becoming. So when we have that tether of guilt, anxiety, shame, all those things to motherhood, it makes your experience of motherhood quite difficult. It makes it where you feel quite anchored and unmovable, right? But a tether or whatever that emotion is, if it's fluid, if it's movable, if it's flexible, that can make your attachment to motherhood, your experience of motherhood, feel like growth or feel like a transformative time, but a positive one, right? And I'm not saying that everyone has a negative or positive experience when it comes to motherhood. Like I said, there is space for all the emotions, but I got to be real. It's not the easiest thing. And even though I have older children now, I have two teens and a little 7-year old, as they grow, I grow. I can handle it better now because I see things differently now. Um, and I've seen motherhood as my transformation on my journey of becoming, right? But all of our experiences are so different, but your feelings are absolutely valid no matter what they are, um, whether it's negative or positive, or your thoughts and feelings about, motherhood and how it is for you. um, there's space in all of us for that spectrum of experience, because you're going to have these joyful moments and you're going to have difficult moments, and you got to be real about that. There's no hiding in this. We have to be real about the full spectrum. And if people are, on social media especially, are saying, oh, it's this and it's that, maybe it is for them. I'm not, who am I to judge someone else's experience? But from my own experience and those that I work with, it's a spectrum. It's not all peachy and it's not all bad either. There's definitely some room in the gray, right? There's some operation in the gray when it comes to motherhood, allowing us to really have space for all those emotions and feelings and thoughts. So, like I said, my experience with motherhood was quite challenging. There's also some beautiful moments, but I want to offer you some tips, 3 tips to help you untether, to help you break your untether. So, the first tip is to acknowledge whatever that tether is, that emotion is, whether it's guilt, anxiety, shame, feelings of unworthiness, whatever it is for you. Because perhaps that tether that you have to your experience of motherhood requires just something different. Maybe it requires you to embrace understanding, to embrace reconciliation, or to release whatever thoughts or preconceived notions or ideas you had about motherhood, and instead embrace what is, to embrace what's present. And in that, you can transform guilt and shame into something of understanding, into something of releasing or reconciliation or whatever it needs to be for you. But it really is about honoring what's there, honoring the emotion, honoring the feeling or thoughts that you have that are there, and recognizing that, you know what, it's here. Well, what can I do with this? How can I change that tether into one that's movable, into one that's transformative for me, so that my experience to motherhood is one that is of beauty and of, like I said, transformation, and one where I view it as something that inspires me, perhaps, or keeps me going. My experience with motherhood, once I was able to use the word transformation that I was experiencing, and reconcile the fact that I needed to release my preconceived notions of what motherhood was, which, like I said, what I thought was just all about my children and not focusing on myself. Once I was able to let that go by realizing that I needed more for myself, I was able to transform that tether of guilt into one of release, into one of releasing what I thought was true for me or in general. Honestly, not even for me, just in general about what I thought motherhood was. I think it's important to mention here that, based on our experiences by any women that raised us or people that raised us, that can affect how we see ourselves as parents, how we see ourselves as moms, as mothers. So it's really important to reflect on that and practice some mindfulness in how you view motherhood in terms of how you were parented as well. Really critical to do that. And something to realize too, and something that I realized was that motherhood didn't require me to be whatever a good mom was, right? Whatever I thought a good mom was, it didn't require me to be the best. There's a such thing that I tell my clients who are struggling with motherhood is about being just enough for your child, right? That means you take care of them, you love them, you show them affection. It really allows you to take a step away from that idea of perfection or of I'm going to get this wrong or whatever it might be. Just be a good enough parent for your child so that they're healthy, and don't overwhelm yourself with all the things that it encompasses, right? Because we don't know what the future holds. Every day is a practice. So every day, just practice being good enough, practice just being better, practice defining what kind of mother you want to be, what kind of mother realistically you want to be, and release whatever preconceived notions or fantasies you might have about motherhood and how it's supposed to look. Because behind those pretty pictures or that journey to that cute picture, there was some crying involved. There were some challenges, there were some tears, there was some yelling, there was, a wide range of things behind those beautiful pictures that we see. But that's a part of the story too. That's a part of the story. And knowing that you can have challenges, that life is full of challenges. But in the end, can you find the beauty? Can you find the beauty in life? Can you find the beauty in motherhood and find what works best for you? Because that's what truly, truly matters. And the second tip, it really is to just honor that emotion, honor what's there, and to ask it, why are you here, guilt? What do you want, shame? Why am I feeling unworthy or lacking? The second tip is to just honor that and ask it those questions. It is a practice of mindfulness. Yes, it is a practice of self reflection. And I'm huge on being in a constant state of self study. Ask those difficult emotions, ask those tethers. Why are you here? And allow your intuition, whatever thoughts pop up for you, let it come to the forefront. You'll get your answers there. So that is your second tip, to check in with yourself. Explore, be curious about why those difficult emotions or tethers are there for you. And your third tip is to understand that sometimes those difficult emotions are just going to be there, or they're going to flow and in and out and ebb and flow throughout your life and your experiences as a mother. But it's about taking braver steps toward your journey of becoming, braver steps toward opportunities that you want to happen, or your goals, or whatever it might be for you, right? You're still going to have those emotions at times, but can you take one step closer, allowing that tether to loosen and loosen, make it become loose, so that your experience in motherhood is one that, like I said, is fluid, is flexible, is movable, is transformative. Make it transformative for you and take braver and braver steps. Life is an absolute practice. So practice taking braver steps, because it not only benefits you, but it benefits your children. It benefits your child. My gosh, we are models for our children. We're models for our children. If we experience anxiety and stress, guess what? That's what they're going to see. And that's what they're going to experience. They might act out or they might portray that in certain ways, but we're models for them. And they see us moving through those difficult emotions, it only makes them that much more stronger, that much more capable and mindful and aware that they are capable themselves. And it normalizes it. It normalizes it. And I, for one, I talk to my kids about, challenging situations, or I apologize to them when I make a mistake because I want them to see the realness. I want them to see that motherhood, that parenthood, that we make mistakes and we grow and we learn and we fall down and we get back up. But most importantly, that we get back up. Most importantly, that we move forward. Most importantly, that we continue to transform. And this is where that growth mindset comes in. This is where that mindset shift comes in. And this is how you empower yourself to do braver and braver things, more and more audacious things. And when you make those brave, audacious steps, make them accessible for you. They don't have to be huge things. It can be small, but they're still brave because you're doing them. They're still brave because at once when you are held back, you're taking a step, you're leaping out on faith, and you're trusting that whatever comes next, there will be a step there for you to step on. There will be ground there for you to step on. So be brave in that. Make it accessible, no matter how small it might be, whatever it is, just make it work for you because that's what matters. So I also have some bonus tips for you as well. One huge thing that helped me, and like I said a bit earlier too, was that sometimes it can feel so lonely when you're in motherhood and feeling like, am I the only one going through this? Everyone else looks so happy or da 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 da. But finding support in friends, finding a friend or friends, a group, your mom crew, whatever, who you can lean on for support, who are real and authentic about their experiences, can be so transformative and healing for you. I definitely, for one, I had one friend, one neighbor who we became so close, so super close. And just having her as a mom friend or just a friend in general, that was healing. That is what also helped me break from, my experiences or my tethers or difficult emotions from motherhood. But find a supportive friends, even, dare I say, find the support of friends that aren't moms. I know sometimes people are like, oh no, like, but they won't understand. There is something about having friends that aren't moms that can reconnect you to just who you are outside of motherhood. Because in my experiences, I definitely tend to, with my mom friends, talk about motherhood, right? And not to say we don't talk about anything else, but how are the kids, or, oh, little one did this or did that. And that's fine. However, when you just want to be you and feel like yourself, not to say your friends that aren't moms won't ask about your family and how you're doing, but just being able to disconnect and know that you don't really have to talk about that, or just having someone that isn't connected to motherhood in that way can help reconnect you to who you are. So that's one of my bonus tips. And my other bonus tip is to start doing activities that don't involve them kids, please. Like, stop. Oh my goodness. When I would have friends, I would say, oh, you can bring the kids along. I'm like, no, why would I do that? Why would I do that? No, this is self care time. This is me time. This is Amanda time. This is you time. Okay. Do activities that don't involve the kids at all. Whether that could be a date night, you and your partner, if you have a partner, or if it's just you doing something on your own, please take that time and gift yourself the peace of mind of privacy and of just, being on your own, or, whether you're with friends or not, just do yourself that favor and do some activities without the kids. And my last bonus tip is to start undoing. Start some undoing. Really reflect on what you have going on. all your responsibilities or, all the tasks that you have, and see what you can release, right? And okay, let me just back up and give some feedback to that. So, personally, as a mom, I felt like I had to take on everything, meaning cooking, cleaning, kids' appointments, like all the stuff, all the stuff. But once I started recognizing that, okay, this is too much. Like I can't reach my goals doing all these things. And really, the other big part is releasing the societal norms of or ideas of what being a mom is and doing all the things. But once I was able to release that, I started just letting go of certain tasks and responsibilities, and at times, of course, but telling my husband, hey, like, you need to do these things as well. This is a partnership. But that was helpful. Even now, I do that, right? Like I've maintained that because my peace of mind is good for me and for the whole family, right? So start really looking at everything you have going on and see what you can release. It could be anything, it could be one thing, it could be two things, whether you can release it to or outsource it to someone else, or it's something that you can maybe end soon, or whatever it might be. Start that, start releasing some things off your plate because that will free you up on your journey of becoming. Every episode, I do an intuition practice. In this episode, we're going to do a question. And this is something you can journal on or just reflect on. Just reflect on it or write it down when you get the time. So, the question I want you to really honor and to reflect on is, who would you be if you release the mindset that's holding you back? Who would you be if you released the mindset that is holding you back? Now, the first thing that pops in your mind is what you're going to reflect on and explore, write down, whatever it might be. And that's a practice of intuition, of trusting what comes up for you, no matter how silly you think it might be. See where it goes. Be curious, see where it leads you. But reflect on that question and just follow it. See what answers you come up with. I bet you're going to be amazing and great, and that's probably going to be a part of your response to that. But definitely reflect on that for you and see where that goes. So my final message for all you moms or moms to be, or if you're thinking about being a mom in the future, just understand and know that your feelings are valid, that there is a full spectrum of experiences that you will have as a mother, and that it is okay. It's okay if it's challenging. It's okay if it's beautiful. It's okay if it's somewhere in between. There's room. There's no need for guilt about any of it. Just do your absolute best. Be your best for your children. Be good enough. Be a good enough mom for your children and be on your journey of becoming. Don't let your experience of motherhood be a tether that holds you back from achieving. You can absolutely still achieve. You have the right to. You are absolutely deserving of continuing to achieve and be on your journey of becoming. But I wish you all the absolute best. I hope you enjoyed this episode. Like I said, you can rate and review in Apple. Leave me a comment if you're watching this on YouTube. I would love to hear from you. But until next time, peace.